would risk his neck for his brother, man.
Can you dig it?
She got you that time, Chris Arps, because she didn't pot your mic up in time for you to sing.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
You know, I've got a slight kind of
trying to do
cough.
4 things at once. I
All right.
apologize.
You are. I noticed that. You going to do the news, too?
No, I'm
No,
not
church-
going into the newsroom.
Church will be back for that, but that's cool. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
You got a little bit of cold going on, huh?
Yeah. Whoever has this microphone, I'll put some.
Stay over there. Yeah, don't say that, just in case he's listening. So, what do you think? First of all, let me. I haven't gotten off of this. I'm not going to get off the Russian hacking thing yet because I want your opinion on that. But let's get to the Rex Tillerson pick. What do you think about it?
I'm surprised. I've been saying for the last couple of weeks that I thought it was going to be Mitt Romney was going to be the pick. But Rex Tillerson, look, I don't have a problem with Donald Trump loading his administration with generals and businessmen. I'm all good with that. I just kind of have a problem with this pick. If he would have been the CEO of ExxonMobil maybe 2 or 3 years ago, or months ago, I wouldn't have a problem with this guy resigning from the largest oil company in the world and becoming Secretary of State. Yes, I know they have business in 50 different countries. He's used to negotiating, but I don't know how that translates into diplomacy. That's my problem. I'll give the president the benefit of the doubt. We'll go with him, but I wish he would have chose someone else.
Yeah.
Personally.
Well, I mean, Tillerson has a wealth of, his background, a wealth of experience dealing with people all over the world.
Yeah,
seriously, China, Muslim countries. I know that he knows more people than John F. Kerry or Hillary Clinton did when they took over that position. Plus, he has the advantage of being a CEO. And I look back on this, and I look at Hillary Clinton, and I look at John Kerry, and for that matter, Barack Obama, or any of these people who've only ever held jobs in the public sector for the last 30 or 40 years. Now, I know Hillary worked as an attorney at some point before that, but she's lived on the public dole for all those years. The biggest thing she's been in charge of till she took over the State Department was one of her own campaigns or her failed presidential campaign. But she's never been the person to sit down and direct a multi-billion-dollar corporation and make life and death decisions for thousands of employees' jobs and all of this stuff. She certainly made life or death decisions in Benghazi. I understand that. But I think Tillerson, it's going to be refreshing to see how he approaches this. Because when he goes into negotiations, he's got the strength of his convictions, plus he's been in that position many, many, many times when the stakes are high.
Yeah. I just don't know how much negotiating business deals translates into diplomacy, and we'll find out more once he has they have the Senate hearings on all of this. I want to know, does he know the history of these different countries, the geopolitical stuff that happened years ago and decades ago, and what's going on currently? If he knows all that and can convince me in the Senate hearings, then I'm okay with him. He also has to convince, he needs three senators, Republican senators, go against him. He doesn't get this nomination. And right now, Rubio, McCain, and Rand Paul are asking serious questions about this nomination.
Yeah,
so it's going to be
the Three Stooges.
Rand Paul was your guy.
No, he was never my guy. Rand Paul was never my guy.
Early.
No, Rand Paul was never my guy.
I thought the whole Kentucky thing going on there.
No. Rand Paul's always been a little too libertarian for me.
I knew you were a Cruz guy.
Paul was never my guy.
I thought you were leaning between Cruz and Rand Paul.
We got the Three Stooges there were working against us. This is why I want John McCain to shut the hell up. He claims on one hand he's going to give him a fair hearing, and then he turns around and talks about Tillerson's connections with Putin. That's all he's focused on.
I am concerned as well, but I also believe the president deserves his nominees to get a fair hearing, and I will make no judgment until the hearing takes place and the questions are answered and we go through the process. But anybody who's a friend of Vladimir Putin must disregard the fact that Vladimir Putin is a murderer, a thug, a KGB agent.
What did Laura Ingraham used to say? I hear a butt monkey. And there it was, right there in the middle of it. Did you hear that?
I did. And one thing that bothers me, too, about this, throughout the next 4 years, the media is going to be focusing on Trump's conflict of business interests. That's going to be their mantra over and over and over. And I think they're going to be able to do the same thing with Rex Tillerson. Every decision that he makes or diplomacy that he makes, people are going to be questioning, is this connected somehow to Exxon or his business interests? The president, fine, that's something, but do we really want two major figures in administration where every move they make, is it connected to business?
The biggest challenge Trump's going to have is that he's got a whole army full of liberal Democrats who are going to work against everything he does because they oppose everything he does. And he's got people in the establishment wing of the Republican Party who are going to work to defeat him at every turn because they don't know what the hell to expect and they're frightened. And John McCain is just trying to keep he's trying to be relative. Yeah. And so is Lindsey Graham. He's trying to keep his name out there. And Rubio, for that matter. I just want him to give him a chance. They've got to let him have his cabinet and give him a chance.
Well, and I think they didn't come right out and say, hey, this guy, no way, we're not going to appoint him. I think they just brought up some legitimate questions about Russia and his experience being America's top diplomat. I think that's legitimate.
I have to wonder if they're not just putting their cards out there on the table to see what they can get dealt to them. Because they're waiting. I mean, Trump is, if he needs to get this thing passed, some envoy from the Trump White House is going to go to Rubio and say, okay, what do you want? You need an extra $1 million in your district down there, and we'll sign off on that. He's lobbying for something.
I think the only political capital that the Trump administration is going to expend is for General Mattis to get that waiver to become Secretary or Defense Secretary. Everybody else, you fall or rise on your own merits.
It could be. Let me get to the phones here real quick. Tyler's been holding on for a while. Tyler, you're on the radio with Mark Cox and Chris Arps.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon.
Hi.
So I wanted to kind of call in and kind of elaborate on a couple of callers that you already had. First of all, I work in information security, and part of my daily functions is to perform forensic analysis of breaches, intrusions, any kind of, malicious behavior. And so what a couple of the callers were already talking about is what they call a virtual private network, a VPN. And they cost as low as $3 a month, and you can actually pick from a list, and it will pretty much put you out like you're coming from any other country. So what it does is it takes your traffic, and it passes your traffic through all these countries until you get to your destination where you want to come out of. And then you say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to come from here, from China.
That's where you stake your flag? Is that what they would call that? Yeah.
Not necessarily. I apologize. Not necessarily the technical term, but yes. And so one thing that I try to teach CEOs and kind of the stakeholders of an organization is just because it quacks like a duck and looks like a duck, if it's on the internet, chances are it's not a duck, because it's very easy to take your source code that you're going to program with, and you just change the language on your system, and now it's in Russian. And then you use your VPN that costs you $3 to $15 a month, and you now do your attack from that. So it's very easy to appear that way.
Interesting. Yep.
And the next thing I was kind of wanting to go into is one of the sources of intelligence that the CIA is trying to say, oh, okay, here's our connection with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, is during late October, Vladimir Putin had came forth in a conference. And this is right after Hillary Clinton was like shaming, his offensive security personnel and just trying to just dog on him and just make him sound as bad as possible. And that, she was going to protect the world against, protect the world from Vladimir Putin. He had came forth in a press conference and said, if she gets elected, there's going to be a war because of how she is. And so, that's one of the sources of intelligence information that the CIA is trying to say, oh, okay, we see that they don't like, Hillary Clinton, so they must, Russians must love Donald Trump.
Interesting.
Because of this.
Well, Tyler, I appreciate the insight into that, and I've been wrong all along because I've always believed this.
If it look like a duck, walk like a duck, and quack like a duck, it's a duck.
But apparently not. Tyler tells us that is not the case when it comes to internet technology and VPN lines and all that.
Here's why I think it was the Russians. And I don't remember what the specific instant was, but it was one of the big WikiLeaks dump things. And it was reported in the Russian press before it was on WikiLeaks. And everyone was saying, wait a minute, how did you get this before WikiLeaks? And WikiLeaks put it out like a couple of hours later.
Do svidanya.
Yes.
Do svidanya.
Is that thank you in Russian?
See you tomorrow.
Oh.
Anyway, 314-969-9797. Chris Arps is going to stick around with us. We'll talk more about this hack and we'll get to your phone calls right after this.
This is the Mark Cox Show. Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather with Dave Murray.
We have an Arctic cold front that's pushing through the St. Louis area. Any little mix of moisture out of the picture quickly. 35 for the high. That happens about midday, a slow drop during the afternoon. Tonight, partly cloudy but very cold. Light northerly winds, 17. Wednesday, partly sunny and very cold. The high, 29. About the same on